Hey, comic book fans, Kevin Given with you once again on a comic book review show. Don't forget to check out my reviews on Comics for Sinners as well as Comic Crusaders websites. If you love comics as much as I do, you're going to subscribe to my channel. I review comics for Comic Crusaders. I also have my own franchises, Adolescent Radioactive Samurai Platypi and Carl Vincent Vampire Hunter. They're available on Comics Central, Indie Planet, and Comixology. Check them out. Stay tuned to this broadcast for more information. Also, like the Facebook pages for each franchise. Check out my Patreon site for some neat original artwork and shows that you won't find on YouTube. Hey, comic book readers, Kevin Given is with you once again, and today on the review show, we're going to review the new Spider-Man movie Far From Home, also Savage Avengers number 3. Let's start with Savage Avengers. Conan the Barbarian was seeking an amulet in the possession of Kulan Gath. Gath would do battle with a strange symbiote creature released by Conan himself, while the Barbarian escaped with the said amulet. Meanwhile, Wolverine and Dr. Voodoo are fighting for their lives in another part of the city. The Punisher enters the fray after the bodies of his family were stolen. This issue opens with the Punisher in the middle of a battle with a deadly assassin in an action-packed opening that sets us up for one hell of a ride. Looking at the creative team, the writer Jerry Duggan is a storyteller that's no stranger to danger as he brings out the best in our anti-heroes and then ups the stakes with this mysterious amulet. They finally face Kulan Gath together, and that's when it hits the fan. One of the warriors is smitten and taken over by the symbiote, and it looks like curtains for these noble heroes. But, as they say, looks can be deceiving. Any title that unites these hardened combatants has got to have a ton of bloodshed. No PG shenanigans here. I'm once again enjoying some savage tales as only Marvel Comics can bring them to us. This is a no-nonsense, take-no-prisoners issue that must see this team prevail. Great stuff includes the revelation of who Frank Castle was fighting at the beginning of this issue and the fate of Conan. Mike Deodato Jr. and Frank Martin bring us the right atmosphere for this tale of horrific proportions. The panels are sharp and the images are dark. Kulan Gath means business, and he's not afraid to kill to regain his amulet. Deodato's illustrations are superb, and Marvel's lucky to have him. It's brawn over brains as our favorite savages go all out to gain this all-important MacGuffin, the amulet. Highlights include the splash of Conan in battle and the closing splash page. In conclusion, this title is an awesome team-up of some of Marvel's most savage warriors, and it's a breath of fresh air from a company that, let's be honest, hasn't been doing much savage storytelling in recent years. No woke or identity politics present here, this issue, and that's a good thing. I celebrate the return of Conan to Marvel. Loved the Dark Horse run, but once again, let's be honest, Conan's return to Marvel signaled a return to greatness for the beleaguered House of Ideas. The company hasn't been the same since Jim Shooter took over, and it's only now beginning to return to the greatness it once was in the 60s and 70s. After reviewing some great comics lately, I can now proudly proclaim once again that we're on the right track. Make mine Marvel. 4 stars, 9.2 rating from this comic book reviewer. And now let's review the movie. It's directed by John Watts, produced by Kevin Feige, Amy Pascal, writer Chris McKenna, Eric Summers, based on Spider-Man by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. Starring, of course, Tom Holland, Samuel L. Jackson, Zendaya, Kobe Smulders, Jon Favreau, J.B. Smoove, Jacob Batalon, Martin Starr, Marissa Tomei, and Jake Gyllenhaal. I'll try to do this with very few spoilers, but no promises. Nick Fury and Maria Hill are investigating an attack by a mysterious elemental creature. Another hero arrives in the person of Quentin Beck, who is Mysterio. He helps the fight against this new threat. Meanwhile, Peter Parker is back in school and dealing with the culture shock from being absent for 5 years after the blip as seen in Avengers Endgame. Peter Parker's romance with MJ is blossoming, and he's trying to live life as a normal teenager, despite his superpowers. More elementals attack, and the search for a successor to Tony Stark continues. Nick Fury begins to groom Beck for the role, and that's all I can say about the plot without giving away too many surprises. I enjoyed this film far more than Spider-Man Far From Home. Watching Nick Fury take over Tony Stark's role as Peter Parker's mentor is a treat, as his approach is more of a gruffer father figure and less the cool uncle as Tony Stark was to Peter Parker. This gives us a new dynamic and is a refreshing change. There are some truly poignant moments when Happy and Peter remember Tony and his legacy. Who could ever fill his shoes? There's the right amount of pathos and humor that you would expect from a Marvel movie, something that Fox only got half right with their attempt at movies with Marvel characters. In order to try to keep up with Stark Industries and S.H.I.E.L.D., Peter is given a pair of special glasses named Edith, which brings back memories to me of the early Steve Ditko comics where he had to wear the glasses. Although these are a high-tech gadget, not actual glasses, but it just kind of, I don't know, brought back that image of the Peter Parker wearing glasses from the early Steve Ditko era. Anyway, one area of disappointment for me personally was all the high-tech gadgets and spider armor and all that. All that stuff from Stark Industries. Personally, I prefer the web-spinning wall-crawler hero as he was originally depicted, not answering to Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. and Tony Stark and all that. But it doesn't ruin the film for me, only a minor nuisance. Then we're treated to a lot of exotic locales that are breathtaking and keep the pace of this film moving. I haven't seen these many locales since one of the last James Bond outings. Watt's direction is sharp and gives us just the right amount of action accompanied by a relaxed sensibility when needed. All in all, there is never a dull moment. All the performances are spot on, and I'm loving this Spider-Man series. In 10 years, it seems that the mighty Marvel machine is not showing signs of fatigue, though I personally feel that the best is still behind us with the destruction of Asgard, the real age of Steve Rogers, and the death of Tony Stark. I don't see the sequels of Doctor Strange or Captain Marvel living up to those juggernauts, and the Eternals are nowhere near as interesting characters as the Avengers or even Guardians of the Galaxy. The sequel to Guardians of the Galaxy and Black Panther should be good, but hey, these are subjects for a different article. For now, Spider-Man Far From Home is a competent sequel, superior to the original. 4 stars and 8.8 rating from this comic book movie reviewer. If you love comics as much as I do, you're going to subscribe to my channel. I review comics for Comic Crusaders. I also have my own franchises, Adolescent Radioactive Samurai Platypi and Carl Vincent Vampire Hunter. They're available on Comics Central, Indie Planet, and Comixology. Check them out. Stay tuned to this broadcast for more information. Also, like the Facebook pages for each franchise. Check out my Patreon site for some neat original artwork and shows that you won't find on YouTube. And that's a look at comic books and comic book based movies this week. Until next time, this is Kevin Gibbon. I want to remind you that I do comic book reviews and articles on Comics for Sinners as well as Comic Crusaders websites. Until next time, keep reading those comics.